You can insult me, but not my brother's uniform. Those were the last words I said before everything went up in flames, literally. It started one quiet morning in our suburban neighborhood, the kind where people cared more about their lawns than their neighbors. My brother, Staff Sergeant Daniel Reed, was a decorated Marine who never made it home. The flagpole and uniform display in my front yard were my way of keeping his memory alive. Everyone respected it, except one person. Karen, the HOA president, the self-proclaimed protector of neighborhood aesthetics. She marched up to me that morning, clipboard in hand, sunglasses perched on her nose like a badge of authority. "Mr. Reed," she said sharply, "you've been warned 3 times about that unsightly display. It violates community standards." I stared at her, then at the flag waving gently in the morning sun. "That's not a display. That's my brother's honor." She rolled her eyes. "It's clutter, and this neighborhood doesn't do clutter." Her words cut deeper than she realized. I thought that was the end of it, but Karen wasn't done. That night I saw her pacing outside my yard, flashlight in hand. When I confronted her, she claimed she was checking for HOA compliance. Something in her tone sent a chill down my spine. The next evening, smoke filled the air. I ran outside and froze. The flagpole was engulfed in flames. My brother's uniform, the one folded in the shadow box beside it, was melting under the fire. Karen stood across the street, wine glass in hand, smiling faintly as if she'd just solved a problem. My body shook with rage. The police arrived, but Karen played innocent. "Oh, what a tragedy," she said, clutching her pearls. "It must have been a spark from his old grill." The officer looked at me with pity but said there wasn't enough evidence. No witnesses, no security footage. The next day, I filed a complaint with the HOA board, but they backed her up. "We can't accuse the president without proof," they said. Proof. That word echoed in my head all night. So I installed cameras everywhere. I didn't sleep much after that. Days passed. Karen pretended nothing happened. She even posted on the HOA website about keeping properties tidy and uniform. The word uniform felt like a twisted joke. I spent every evening sitting on my porch, watching her, waiting for her to slip. And then she did. One Friday afternoon, a contractor showed up at her house. They began unloading boxes, paint, tools, new patio furniture. I overheard Karen say, "I'll use the insurance claim from that fire to pay for all this." My blood ran cold. Insurance claim? For my brother's uniform fire? That night, I checked public records, and there it was, an active payout request under her name. She had filed for damages caused by the same fire she started. My stomach turned. The next morning, I went to confront her, but she was ready. "You can't prove anything," she said before I could even speak. "You think anyone's going to believe you over me?" She smirked. "You're just the grieving brother of some dead soldier." "I'm the HOA president." Her words left me shaking, not with fear but with resolve. Because she was wrong. She thought she'd destroyed everything, but she'd forgotten one thing: the new cameras I'd installed. The truth was about to surface, and when it did, it wouldn't just take her down, it would expose the entire HOA cover-up she'd built around herself. The next week, the air around the neighborhood was thick with quiet tension. Karen still strutted through the cul-de-sac like a queen guarding her castle, but I could tell she felt my eyes on her. The security cameras had caught everything. Every match flicked, every smirk, every cruel whisper under her breath as she burned my brother's memory for her own pride. I didn't send the footage to the police right away. I wanted her to face the same silence I did, to feel what it was like when everyone looked away. But karma works best in daylight. The HOA had a public meeting that Friday evening, and I knew exactly what I had to do. When I entered the hall, everyone turned their heads. Karen sat at the front table in her tailored blazer, pretending to be busy with her papers. "Oh, Mr. Reed," she said, her tone syrupy sweet. "I hope you're not here to cause more trouble." I didn't answer. Instead, I plugged a USB drive into the projector and hit play. The room went silent. The video started with my porch camera footage. Karen walking across the lawn after midnight, flashlight in one hand, gasoline can in the other. Then came the sound of her voice. "Let's see how patriotic he feels after this burns." Gasoline splashed. A flick of a lighter. Flames burst across the screen, lighting up her face like a demon's grin. The footage ended and the silence was deafening. Karen's face drained of color. She stammered, That's edited! But no one believed her. People she'd ruled over for years stared in disbelief. Someone in the back yelled, "You burned a soldier's uniform!" Another voice shouted, "You disgust me!" Within minutes, the meeting turned into chaos. The HOA vice president demanded her resignation on the spot. She tried to protest, but the sheriff, who had been quietly invited by me, stepped forward and placed her under arrest for arson, fraud, and destruction of memorial property. The sound of handcuffs clicking shut was the sweetest music I'd ever heard. She screamed, "You can't do this to me! I run this neighborhood!" The sheriff replied coldly, "Not anymore, ma'am." Cameras flashed as the story hit local news that same night. HOA president arrested for burning veterans' uniform. It spread faster than any gossip she'd ever started. Reporters camped outside her home as movers carried out boxes labeled "Property of HOA." Her perfect world crumbled brick by brick. A week later, I was invited to a city memorial event where they honored veterans and their families. The mayor shook my hand and apologized for what had happened. They even rebuilt the burned memorial in my front yard, this time stronger, with marble and steel instead of wood. But the real victory came from the people. Neighbors who had once avoided me now stopped to salute the flag every morning. Children placed small flowers by the memorial, whispering, "Thank you, Mr. Reed," when they passed by. Karen's house went up for sale, her name permanently blacklisted from every HOA in the state. Rumor had it she tried to move 2 towns over, but no one wanted to live near her once they found out who she was. Her legacy had turned to ashes, just like the fire she started. One evening, I stood by my rebuilt memorial as the sun dipped below the trees. The new flag fluttered softly in the wind, its reflection shimmering in the polished metal plaque beneath it. It read, "In memory of Staff Sergeant Daniel Reed, courage can't burn." I smiled, feeling the kind of peace I hadn't known since my brother's passing. My sister-in-law joined me, tears in her eyes. "He'd be proud of you," she whispered. "No," I said quietly. "He'd be proud of all of us for standing up." As the last light faded, I thought about Karen, about how one woman's hatred exposed a system's silence. But in that silence, I'd found something stronger: truth, community, and justice. The world may forget names, but it never forgets the sound of courage rising from the ashes.